And the moment you've all been waiting for, everyone. Welcome back. We're in the final of the Calling Melbourne, and these have just been some incredible top 8 games. I'm hyped. I'm running high on adrenaline right now. And what a fantastic story. We have an undefeated -IO player. I believe it is the only undefeated run in Swiss ever at a Calling or Pro Tour Plus level. And he's looking to complete the clean sweep. Can he go 15-0 and take down the title?
That's absolutely crazy, Kieran. What a dark horse story for -IO. Something that everyone who I've spoken to over the weekend had not had on their radar, looking to clean sweep the entire tournament for the mythical 15-0. And Thomas Dowling, an absolute mastermind on the deck, really showing his prowess, making the clutch decisions when he needs to get here to the finals. Playing against someone who we know very well here on the casting desk. I believe this is his 4th casted game from the event. Ben Dodd playing Uzuri.
Yep, absolutely. And Ben Dodd has just really showed his mastery of the Uzuri deck, taking down a Dromai in the quarterfinal, a very, very difficult matchup for Uzuri, and then taking down none other than Michael Fink himself, a Pro Tour champion, playing that Lexi deck. And, you know, after all the talk of Lexi and Dromai, we're seeing two brand new heroes in the final, and I just want to say, this will be, no matter who wins, the 6th different hero in a row to win a Calling.
Wow, what a stat for the game. That's absolutely crazy.
Yep, and yeah, and after watching that last match, to be honest, Thomas Dowling, a completely absurd start. You almost have to say he had the Tome of Findales into the max velocity, and then Kevin making that incredible flick knives play to get through the Command and Conquer, taking out the final Tome of Findale. We had a quick chat to Thomas after the game. He said he won that game with, count it, 1 card left in deck.
That was the final turn. There would be no more boosting to be had, no more real potential to bust through 4 cards in hand from the Uzuri. So here we go. What a story for the final match here. Thomas Dowling on -IO versus Ben Dodd on his main Uzuri. A beautifully hand-painted altar, if I do say so myself. And I was speaking to him earlier. It is something he did himself. What passion for the game Ben has.
Exactly, and it's pretty cool as well to see, I don't want to say 2 unknown players, that's maybe a little bit disrespectful to them, but 2 players maybe the international community may not have heard a whole lot of, and for them to just make this incredible run through to the final, 14-0 on -IO, I just can't get over that.
Yeah, it's just an absolutely wild stat, really showcasing, he knows his stuff, really showcasing the power of some of these heroes from Blight Lights. We also saw a Max make top 8 as well, only to be taken down from the -IO player.
Yeah, the only thing that can defeat Bright Lights is Bright Lights themselves. So we are getting ahead of ourselves, because one thing I was going to say is, despite Thomas really powering through that game, winning with 1 card left in deck, it did seem that Uzuri was giving him quite a lot of trouble during that game. So we saw things like, you know, the flick knives to get through, the dissolving shields, the disruption in the form of Codex of Frailty. Those frailties playing a key part in mitigating a lot of the damage during that game.
Absolutely, Kieran, absolutely. I mean, Ben Dodd's list differs a little bit from the previous Uzuri list. I see a little bit more 2 defense cards on his end. I think he's going to have a little bit more trouble blocking out as the previous Uzuri was trying to do towards the end of that game there. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, just looking through the list, there are some key differences, but they are sort of quite similar in the overall structure of the deck. So they're running a similar number of blues. So we've got 11 on the side of Ben Dodd here. They seem to be running the same yellows, so the Isolates, the Codex, the Shreds, and the one-off Spreading Plague. We'll see if the Spreading Plague comes in to affect like it did in that Dromai game for sure. Well, actually, it didn't, but he had the option to do it. But yeah, one thing I will really be looking for in this game to see if can Thomas get off to that similar explosive start he had against the previous game, or is Ben going to be able to slow the game down a little bit, maybe try and fatigue him a little bit, get some key disruptive cards in there. We'll see if those 2 blocks you mentioned come back to bite him a little bit.
Yep. I don't think Ben is going to be actively trying to fatigue Thomas here. He really just wants to punish Thomas and not enable Thomas's really, really big turns, right? He wants to just play your Leave No Witnesses, play your CNCs, play these things that threaten the arsenal, ask questions of the -IO. Because if -IO is not able to string together those big turns we saw with the Teklo cores, the Tome of Fiendals, if he's not able to combine these multiple stages of setup, then he can really struggle to present large amounts of damage.
Yeah, there's a few key cards I'm looking at in Ben's list that we may not have necessarily seen in Kevin's, and the biggest one that comes to mind is the 3 of Frailty Trap. So -IO, of course, basically the entire attack base has Go again, and we saw how much damage those Frailties from the Codex of Frailties mitigated in the previous game, particularly when one of your sort of paths to victory is setting up this big high-octane turn into multiple semis or shot attacks.
Yep, absolutely. And I was talking to Thomas earlier as well. He did actually play against Ben Dodd in Swiss and did come out on top. So maybe there's some secret sauce that we haven't seen yet from Thomas. He might have a secret strat here.
Yeah, and one interesting little story is many of our viewers may know the name Hayden Dale, or the co-host of Arsenal Pass. And I was just chatting to him briefly in between the rounds, and he said they know Thomas, and Thomas had been saying to them before the event, like, guys, I think I might have cracked this Dash Eyeless. I think it's really, really strong. I'm telling you, you maybe should play it, and they couldn't quite get it to work for themselves, and I think Thomas has really made a very convincing case here that he has picked the correct deck for the tournament.
Absolutely. No matter who comes out on top of this final, there is no disputing the power of Dash.io. Thomas Dowling, 14-0. That's not a feat that can be obtained easily.
No, I mean, I'm trying to think, and yeah, like I said, I'm pretty convinced that it's the only time it's happened in a Calling Plus level game, Calling Plus level tournament in Flesh and Blood, but you know, the 14 wins are great, but it's the 15th one that matters in the end to obtain the title of Calling Champion.
Absolutely, all the chips are down. This is the final match of the tournament. Man,
I'm running pretty high in that adrenaline, so we'll see what equipment setups they choose to go with. So I'm just having a quick look at Ben's list here as well. So he does have access to those Black Tip Whisperers, which I think will be quite likely to see here.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to make sure, as Uzuri, that we're cleaning up a lot of the breakpoints from Thomas. The threat of Boom Grenade is real. The threat of just dying is real. We need to make sure that we are stopping as many of those juicy on-hits as possible.
Yep, and yeah, so looking through it, it looks like one of those, as we talked about over the weekend, one of those more modern, if I can put it that way, Uzuri deck lists with a lot of cards like looking for a Scrap, for example, Nimblism, Nimble Strike, Ravenous Rebels, a number of ways to get really strong go again. I've been really impressed by the impact of Red Infect, specifically this weekend as well. Just basically offering up that it's 3 damage, maybe it's 6 if I spin something in, maybe you defend for 3 and I throw down a Shred to get the Blood Rot puck through as well. So really nice seeing some of these lists develop, adapting to the meta over time.
Absolutely. Yeah, the story of how good Uzuri has been this weekend has been truly phenomenal. Not the craziest meta representation, but getting 2 very, very strong decks into top 8 is nothing to shake a stick at.
Yep, and one card that we haven't seen come out of Tom's so far, I can see he's playing the one-off penetration script. So I wonder, I mean, maybe he feels it's not the most effective card, but I wonder if that's something he may just sort of try sneak in to catch his opponent off guard here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd be really interested to see how many cards Thomas submits in this matchup. We saw previously that he went down to 1 card in deck in order to just clutch out the last game versus Uzuri. Do you think he's submitting more than 60 cards here?
I mean, the one card that I feel that he may not play is the Convection Amplifier. That feels like it may be a card more suited towards perhaps like even more control-y decks. Perhaps off the top of my head, something like Bravo, if once you run the none of defense reactions and get through the equipments.
For sure.
But I would not be too surprised to see him submit basically the full stack aside from that. I mean, all the cards just do good things, right? They all feed the Teklo Foundry Heart to get that fuel to keep your deck going.
Yep, all those items are just good. Crank items off the top, put counters on the pistol, give you extra action points. They do all the things you need them to. And here we see the handshake, things are just going to fire off. Thomas getting to choose as being the highest seed. Obviously undefeated, he will end up as the #1 in Swiss.
Yep, and I think we'll see him elect to start similar to the previous game.
Yep, just really want to get the items in play, right?
Yep, I am curious as well for Ben. We talked about a number of cards submitted. If he chooses to maybe cut down on a few of those 2 blocks in deck, maybe something like the Sigils.
Absolutely. I mean, just making sure you're able to block as many breakpoints as possible. I mean, you probably still want something like Death Touch just because it does interact very, very favorably, giving the option of the Frailty or the Inertia or the Blood Rot. All 3 options, very, very good depending on what situation Ben finds himself in.
Yep, and the other card that I wanted to mention is Down and Dirty, to see, just to act as a sort of, not a true defense reaction, but just a one to catch your opponent off guard, saying, okay, look, they got no cards in hand, like I've seen a number of Stinks and Fates and everything, so maybe the Down and Dirty will come down as that little surprise value defensive card from Arsenal.
Absolutely. We saw Thomas here starting the game off with a little Fender Bender action. 1 for 4 boost. Does turn off any equips, but Ben's probably just going to throw 2 cards in front of this, maintain some life total lead. Or if he's a little bit scared of a crank item off the top, he could just be blocking 1 card, preserving the cards in hand, making sure he can defend efficiently for the turn. But nope, that's it. We see 2 cards coming down in face of this Fender Bender.
And one thing to note here is I believe that's 2 blues. And I mean, in a deck that only runs 11 blues, those are a bit of a precious resource.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, we see... Ooh, a Dissolving Shell. That's a very nice item to see on turn 1 for Thomas, making sure that he can protect his arsenal very, very well, making sure he can stop the Spider's Bite from rendering his attack actions unable to block.
Yep, and we're not sure if he was caught off guard or if that was sort of a play when he got hit by that Command and Conquer last game, but I think he'll certainly learn from that experience.
Absolutely.
And yep, choosing not to crank here, it makes a whole lot of sense, right? You've already got the action point from boost. You really just want to get as much defensive mitigation onto the field as possible here.
Absolutely. Thomas also looking to play an uncranked Boom Grenade, if I'm not mistaken, from hand, setting up for a very nice turn 2 here.
Yep, so not the Teklo core or the that we saw in the previous game just to kick things off, but Dissolving Shield into a Boom Grenade, putting a lot of pressure on is a very nice start for him.
Absolutely.
Now, I feel on Ben's side here, he'd probably be pretty happy to see some sort of defense reaction to protect against this Boom Grenade.
For sure. All right, let's see what disruption Uzuri can muster here. Ben Dodd looks like he's got a Leave No Witnesses and a Shakedown in hand alongside at least one Stealth card.
Yep, and it looks like that may be an... so he got both the Isolate and the Infect, I believe, so the Dissolving Shield is putting in a lot of work here.
Ben just doing some quick maths. Yep, he is going to throw down this Spider's Bite, it looks like.
Now, I really like the Spider's Bite because it's basically saying, look, you got that Dissolving Shield on 3 counters, like, you can give me one of these. But that's going to really set up nicely and potential Shakedown play here.
Absolutely. Most likely looking to come in with the Infect, can switch in either a Leave No or a Shakedown, but I think you're right, Kieran. I think Shakedown is the answer that you want here.
Yep, so now this puts Ben in, you know, he's going to have to go into the tank a little bit to figure out how do I want to protect against this.
Yep, a lot of things to think through as -IO. You know, the top card of your deck, there's a lot of nuance here. Maybe you want to keep the Dissolving Shield around so you can Galvanize it on the following turn with the Adaptive Plating. A lot of these micro decisions do matter.
Yep, because the one thing is if you defend with one card here and you get sort of shook down, if I can say that, then it's a little rough because you don't have that prevention point available to mitigate the full amount of damage there. But if you just say no blocks, then you're kind of leaving yourself open to something like Leave No Witnesses as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Ooh, spooky.
Yep, so we'll see. You know, Thomas has put on a masterclass in this deck, so we'll see how he decides to navigate this.
Yeah, as Thomas, you really don't want to be losing cards from him, but you can't disrespect this Infect either. Uzuri has a lot of options here that he could potentially have. Command and Conquer, Leave No Witnesses, like you said, Shakedown and Leave No in hand. A lot of options here for Ben.
Yep, and I do see that Thomas does have both the Boom Grenade and the Teklo core in hand, so probably not super happy to see 2 items just in hand right now.
Absolutely.
Particularly, like, he'll be wanting to get a bit of value off this Boom Grenade as well, so this is definitely a bit of a difficult turn to navigate.
Yep, absolutely. It looks like a Shakedown is getting flipped in, absolutely. And I think I caught a Penetration Script in Thomas's hand as well, so that's a triple item hand, which is not what you want to see.
Yep, that's a bit of a difficult one.
But yet, not a lot that Thomas can do here. I think he's just going to have to eat this Shakedown.
And we've seen how important, you know, we talk about every card matters, we see how important all these damage cards are in -IO's deck. You know, winning that last game off with one card left in deck. It's going to be a bit of a difficult hit here to... It's going to be very hard to get that Boom Grenade off.
Yep, absolutely. We see a lot of items in hand for Thomas, not a lot of damage. It is a little bit of a rough spot for him.
Yep, and this is exactly how Uzuri wants to start this game.
I mean, at least Thomas here, if Ben calls the wrong color, it doesn't look like he's got any reds in hand.
Okay, so I feel quite often players go for the blue to try and attack the resources.
But maybe Ben's just like, hey, I just need to strip some of the power down.
Yep.
All right, hand revealed. Yep, it does look like a Penetration Script, a Teklo core, a Boom Grenade, and a T-Bone here for Thomas. It looks like...
Maybe that was a red Boom Grenade in the end.
Yep, it looks like it was a red Boom Grenade that does get taken down by this Shakedown. What a mugging.
Yep, and that's really big, right? So that's 1 Boom Grenade in play and 1 already into the Banish Zone.
And let's not forget, Ben has perfect information of the cards in Thomas's hand now. That's the upside on something like Shakedown. Not only do you get to strip the card, but getting perfect information while there's a Boom Grenade in play is absolutely huge for Ben here.
Yep, and getting through, so, you know, just opening up that early 10-life lead is, I feel like Ben could not have asked for a better start than this.
No, absolutely. I mean, you're not really afraid to fall too far below on life as Thomas, right? We saw how big those turns can get from -IO. I don't think you're worried too much about the life differential here, but maintaining tempo, the fact that Ben's still on 40, it doesn't look like he's going to take any damage this turn either.
Yeah, and, you know, those Boom Grenades have to put in a lot of work, so we'll see if Thomas maybe wants to go for a bit of a setup turn here.
We see the Penetration Script pitch for what looks like a Twin Drive, at least able to present some damage here. 1 boost, but unfortunately now Ben has truly perfect information. The card from Thomas's arsenal has been played. Ben has perfect information for the cards remaining in Thomas's hand. He knows exactly how much he needs to block. He knows that there's a T-Bone. He knows that there's a Teklo core. So what Thomas is probably looking at here is just like, look, I just need to probably arsenal this boost card. I'm going to play my Teklo core. I'm going to set up my resources for next turn. I'm going to have to say goodbye to this Boom Grenade. At least my Dissolving Shield's got one of the daggers covered. But Ben with a Sigil in hand is huge here, right? Because he just gets to go, look, I'm going to attack you with Leave No Witnesses. I'm going to Sigil. I'm going to set up another Arsenal card. And I'm still going to be able to block this Twin Drive if I really want to with just Black Tech and a Frailty Trap.
Yep, and importantly, he may just look to set up that Ferality Trap for a future turn, saying, look, if you set up with the Teklo Core and a card in Arsenal, then I'm just going to simply Ferality Trap your first thing, so at least I turn off a little bit of damage from some of those gun hits.
Absolutely, but Thomas probably going to throw in the T-Bone now if he commits the Black Tech Whisperers. The T-Bone is going to grab something juicy, right? Like Flick Knives, Tunic, and Crown of Providence all are Blade Break equipment, which means that this T-Bone is definitely going to grab something.
That's quite nice for Thomas as well, because now he can sort of commit the T-Bone, and he gets a Frailty Trap as well. So, but now now he's able to commit the T-Bone, pick up one of these pieces of equipment, play out the Teklo Core, and he's sort of not really at threat of that Leave No Witnesses.
Yep, exactly. Yep, we see the T-Bone come down now for Thomas, boosting away a 0 to 60. You don't mind that too much as Thomas, and yeah, he is going to get something good here.
And I believe that's a blue T-Bone, so getting some really nice value here. I feel like Ben won't want to give up the Tunic or Flick Knives this early, so that may be the Crown of Providence that's hitting the bin.
Yep, absolutely. Maybe fishing away for something else. Surgical Extraction, pretty good into Dash.io here, being able to either grab some equipment or just threaten to take something away from Thomas's hand.
Yep, and one of the things we've talked about a lot this weekend is Dash.io being able to play sort of offense into defense into offense. So this Boom Grenade, which looks, almost a little bit wasted here, could be catched on with the adaptive plating if Thomas chooses to do so. Maybe a little bit early for that, but having that option available is just something Ben has to think about.
Yep, as well as if Thomas has something nice on top of a deck he wants to keep around, he does have the option of just blocking with adaptive plating, taking down the Dissolving Shield, and then covering that Leave No Witnesses for the full 4 points.
Yep, so I feel, Thomas navigating this turn pretty well. The Black Tip Whisperer's block was probably a little bit of a gift for him here, to be fair.
Yep, that this T-Bone is going to do some work. Ben Dodd obviously aware of all the cards in his hand, and he's a very, very good player, so I'm not going to put this past him.
Okay, so it looks like he is actually giving up the Flick Knives here. Maybe just valuing the sheer amount of block value that Crown of Providence gives, because importantly, it defends for 2, but also if you have something that isn't a defense reaction in Arsenal, you're able to defend with 2, get rid of that card, draw a card up at the top of your deck, so potentially defend for as much as 5 on a turn with it.
Yep, exactly. And defensive spike value, as we know, as looking at the previous Dash.io versus Uzuri game, can be absolutely pivotal to make sure you've got those Boom Grenades covered.
Yep, and I couldn't quite see that last card in hand, but if that's a Fate for Scene, which it might be, that's a very nice card to have here.
Yep, it does look like a Fate to me, Kieran. Yep, so we're just going to see a cheeky dagger for 1 into what appears to be a Leave No Witnesses from Arsenal, play out the Sigil, go to a very healthy 43, and get a defense reaction in Arsenal.
Yep, and I did spot a Tome of Findale in Thomas's hand, so I think he's going to be looking to play towards that shortly.
Oh, and a Spark of Genius. That is a spicy hand for Thomas.
So just checking the top of the deck for the interaction here, because Leave No Witnesses will banish the top card of deck if it hits.
Yep, he says, no blocks. Hey, I'm completely fine. You can take the top card, buddy. It takes 4, drops down to 26.
And one thing we say is Leave No Witnesses, it's not threatening in the sense it's not going to hit the Arsenal card, but it does hit a red 0 to 60, I believe, off the top, so that's a very nice find.
Very nice find, for sure. Thomas is probably going to be boosting that anyway, though, and he doesn't really mind 1 silver. The second silver is the one that matters.
That's the one that hurts.
Yep, Uzuri going to 43 off the Sigil, like we said. Arsenaling this Fate for Scene. Very, very well set up defensively. 43 life and a defense reaction on Arsenal. You can't complain too much as Ben Dodd here.
Yep, and as you mentioned, that Spark of Genius is going to set up a very nice turn here. So that Boom Grenade is going to hit the bin. I think a heads-up play from Thomas here. He knows he needs to use that adaptive plating probably to protect something like this Tome of Findale turn he wants to set up. So one line available to him here, if he doesn't have the most powerful offensive hand, is just going boost card into Spark of Genius, fetching up another Dissolving Shield.
Yep, absolutely. We see a 0 to 60 coming here for Thomas, threatening 4 points of damage. Ben just quickly having a squeeze at what is in the banish zone here for Thomas. 1 Boomer Grenade down there, a couple of boost cards. Nothing too crazy, but it looks of it. Still got a lot of power to run through in Thomas's deck.
Ooh, and we do see the Command and Conquer available in the hand here. So the one thing about the Flick Knives being gone is if he does choose to search up the Dissolving Shield, he has a very nice block available to him with the Dissolving Shield plus 1 card.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, I think it's really important here for Thomas just to make sure that he's able to push a little bit of damage and have a bit of a setup turn.
Okay, and we just see the Fate for Scene run out here. And we did see this a bit in the previous game as well. Oh, revealing a Codex of Frailty on top. That's a very nice card. I think he may leave that one there.
Yeah, absolutely. Codex of Frailty is exactly what you want versus Thomas. It gives it the Frailty, neuters the damage a little bit that Dash can present, and also sets you up that nice Ponder, and just overall, very, very powerful card.
Oh, and we do see Max Velocity hit the banish zone off the Teklo Foundry Heart, so Ben's going to be pretty happy to see that one.
Yep, absolutely. That's 10 damage gone from Thomas's deck.
And we'll see if he wants to get a bit aggressive here. So previously, you know, he's happy to run out the tomes from hand just to put the foot on the gas a little bit here. But there's a very obvious difference in the opening of this game from the previous one. There's a 17 life gap in favor of Uzuri. Uzuri's able to use that life as a resource a little bit. I can see a hand there of Enlightened Strike plus at least a Command and Conquer. So potentially a very nice option to set up.
Yep, absolutely. A lot of damage available for Ben Dodd. Oh, a Boom Grenade off the top for Dash.io. That's how you want to start a big turn.
Oh, and electing to crank this here as well.
It looks like Thomas is going to be threatening some breakpoints. Little does he know that there's a defense reaction lurking in Ben Dodd's hand alongside some juicy 3 defense cards.
Yep, so what I quite like about this Boom Grenade here is I believe Thomas is looking to force a little bit of interaction, saying like, look, you know, I really want to set up this, backup protocol potentially. So I really want to set up this Tome of Findale turn for now. So if I can come in with at least a big boost attack, strip maybe a couple cards out of your hand, you might have to respect the Boom Grenade damage.
Yep, absolutely. I think Ben's pretty happy blocking up, though. Like, yes, he has some strong cards in his hand that he would like to be able to get out there, but he knows just how much his life total matters and how big the turns from Thomas can get. So he really wants to maintain as much of a healthy life total as he can, I believe.
Yep, and the decision trees in the Dash.io deck is really interesting with cards like Spark of Genius. So, you know, I was talking about potentially fetching up something like that Dissolving Shield to protect, but he's clearly just favored this backup protocol here.
Yep, absolutely. Just being able to pay 2 resources, fetch any red card from the graveyard. Very powerful effect. One that's not respected by many players, but definitely will be respected after this tournament run by Thomas. Just being able to get back a key card like Maximum Velocity or even a 0-4 like 0 to 60. Let's see what Thomas fetches up here.
And the key thing is here, why thinking about it a little bit more, why I do like this play is because if you've got the Boom Grenade, you really want to pair it with something like a Breakpoint boost attack. And this one, being able to fetch up something like a Fate Vaccine would be very, something like a 0 to 60 would be very nice here.
Yeah, and we see another 0-60 in hand for Thomas. But it looks like a Fender Bender's coming down for 4, boosting away a T-Bone. Now, very nice, a 4 breakpoint that can't be blocked by equipment very efficiently, as it does gain power the more equipment that defend it. Unfortunately for him, Ben Dodd does in fact have a defense reaction in hand that nicely covers this 4-up.
Yep, and after seeing one Fate Vaccine already, you're probably thinking, you know, odds are they might not necessarily have the second defense reaction right away.
Yep, absolutely.
So we are playing with open deck lists as well, so... so we are playing with open deck lists, so there's 3 Sink Below, 3 Failty Trap, and...
2 Fate Vaccine, it looks like.
2 Fate Vaccine.
So this would be both the Fates gone from Ben's deck. Such a clean block, right? Getting the Fate Vaccine on this Fender Bender must feel pretty good.
Yep, Thomas will not be thrilled to see this one here. I didn't quite catch the color of that last card, but I suspect it might be a yellow 0 to 60. So if Ben's able to just Fate Vaccine into 1 card block here, that's pretty nice for him.
Absolutely. Thomas just really considering his options here as Ben tanks on this defense.
Yep, so, I mean, if he's able to get away with, say, defending with 2 cards here and maybe perhaps defending with the Enlightened Strike and opening up with the CNC, pretty nice play here. And the good thing as well about the Boom Grenade is, I keep mentioning it over and over again like a broken record, but the offense into defense, being able to cash in that Adaptive Plating plus 1 card and getting rid of that Boom Grenade, really good option here.
Yep, or could even throw the full fridge in. Just 7 points of defense on that.
Yep, we saw him do that to great effect in the previous game just to really push the tempo.
Absolutely.
And it's one of these things here where Ben, he's like, yes, I do have a 17 life lead, but I know what this deck can do. Like, I kind of don't just want to sit here necessarily and take 7 or 8 damage on this turn. But I think one thing going through his mind is, am I going to be able to defend out this turn, stop the Boom Grenade, and still have something to offer back?
Yeah, I would say that Thomas really wants to push the point in this situation, but that is not a good card.
Okay, so it looks like the players are just sorting something out between themselves. But I'm sure we'll be back to the action very shortly. So just while we have a moment, just taking stock of the game so far. I mean, great start for Uzuri, up to 43 life, getting rid of a few of the key cards in the deck. We've seen a Spark of Genius go, a couple of Boom Grenades gone. We've seen a Max Velocity boost banished away to the Teklo Foundry card. So I feel you've got to be pretty happy with how this goes. If you're able to disrupt a Tome of Findale turn, that is basically as good as you're going to get for a start into this deck.
Yep, absolutely. That's the gravy that you want to see, baby.
Yep. Okay, so looks like you know, players just giving each other a high five there. Some good sportsmanship coming out.
Yeah, absolutely love to see it. Good old Kiwis versus Aussies in this grand final here at the Calling Melbourne. Nice to see these two players getting along like a house on fire.
It's been a Kiwis. Okay, yeah. Okay, so we see now. I wonder what the follow-up will be here because we do. If that is a yellow 0 to 60, like I suspected, it does open up the line of cracking this protocol, pitching the yellow 0 to 60, and maybe grabbing something like a red zipper hit to, you know, maybe threaten another couple of cards here.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, a lot of power being pumped out of Thomas's deck. Unfortunately, he's not been able to connect with anything thus far, and to Ben still on a very healthy 43 points of life. It's got a lot of work cut out for Thomas here.
Yep, so multiple action points are available in order to maybe, you know, come with a boost attack followed up by potentially something like another Symbiosis shot hit. And of course, Ben isn't aware that there is a Tome of Findale that that Thomas is wanting to preserve. So he's probably thinking, like, how many boost attacks am I going to have to defend against this turn?
Yep, absolutely. As Thomas, do you have any consideration just to running out the Tome here? You do have the additional action point. You do have a live Boom Grenade. I mean, if he has a good boost card with a low resource cost on top of his deck, I can actually theoretically see him going for it.
Definitely a consideration. I mean, one thing is I think you might want to see how this plays out in terms of Ben defending against this card, because as you mentioned, it is a break point. He's thinking, look, if he doesn't have a defense reaction here and was required to commit 2 cards to this, maybe I do really just, you know, keep going with the Tome of Findale so I don't get hit by any disruption the following turn. I think one thing that might point towards him looking to set this up into Arsenal is just the life difference at this point. Like, you know, he knows that he's most likely the aggressor in this matchup, but there's only so many times you can say no blocks. Let's keep going.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, Thomas Dowling is a man of steel. He's shown us that he's willing to take the damage. He's willing to take the hits. He's really willing to give them the old 1-2 with the pistol. But you're right, Kieran. There's only so many times he can say that and be able to get away with it. And like we saw happen, he used almost every single card in his deck to be able to get through the entire life pool, and that was just 40. Ben Dodd at 43.
Yep, so he does have access to 2 sigils. One of those has been played out, so potentially one remaining in the deck. So I think the big thing here is he's looking at, look, like, if this gets hit by a Fate Foreseen, maybe I do just commit to the backup protocol, pitch up my zipper hit, and try to get 2 more cards out of you. If I can do that and set up a Tome of Findale into Arsenal, I'm very happy with how this turn has gone.
Yep, absolutely. Can't complain about that in the slightest.
But on the flip side, like you mentioned, if Ben just goes, you know what, I've got a life lead, like, bring it on, then I think there is definitely consideration to commit that Tome of Findale and just seeing how much damage I can push this turn.
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at Ben's list, like we've seen earlier today, does have the Nimble Strike, the Looking for a Scrap, 3 copies of Nimbleism. That's a lot of, like, very, very fast, heavy aggression that Uzuri has access to if they wanted to bring it in for this matchup.
Yep, and so we do know from the Codex of Frailty. Sorry, I've lost track a little bit. Okay, so we're continuing on. Just choosing to defend this for 3 here, so maybe he's just going to say, I'll happy to eat the grenade.
Wow, okay, Ben Dodd's like, he probably has more boost coming. I can't realistically afford it, but Thomas probably breathing a huge sigh of relief that this boom grenade's going through here.
Yep, and I'm just trying to figure out, the Codex of Frailty, is that on top of the deck?
That was on top of the deck,
okay,
yes.
Yep.
That was the card that Ben Dodd saw on top when he played his Fate Foreseen.
Okay, so he does connect through, pushes through 1 damage plus the boom grenade. I'm sure we'll get some clarification shortly on the color on that one.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, Thomas cracking the backup protocol red, pitching away his 0 to 60 to upgrade it into yet another 1-for-4 boost card, boosting away a zipper hit. Nice clean 1-for-4 here, presenting yet another breakpoint for Ben to deal with.
Yep, so this is really setting up nicely for the following turn. So similar to the previous game, we see he's got the Teklo core set up for the resources available for the Tome of Findale. Now, critically, he's only seen 1 tome this game. So it does mean if he wants to commit something like the Achilles Accelerator, it's a lot more risky than it was previously.
Yep, absolutely. We see multiple pistol shots ending up this combat chain for -IO. Pew, pew!
Yep, so now he's got sort of 4 damage, so 1 damage plus the boom grenade plus another 4 plus another 4. So that equates to a lot, if my math is correct.
Approximately 1 million damage.
Yeah, but we're looking at 10 plus damage on this turn. And I think he's going to be sort of very happy if he's just getting hit by an E-Strike for 7 here.
Yep, absolutely. All right, what's Uzuri got for us here? And Lightning Strike.
So very clean play here, and Lightning Strike for 7. being able to then arsenal that Death Touch. And as we know, with the Codex of Frailty on top of the deck here, this could set up a very nice play. Tunic on 3 counters, being able to go Death Touch off the Tunic, potentially crack the Black Tech Whisperers into a Codex, into a really big turn.
And now that would be absolutely devastating for Dash.io. Not 1, but 2 frailties being able to be given, completely neutering the pistol for a turn. Massive.
Yep. Now, I feel this is one of the critical turns in the early mid-game of this game, because now we're going to see if Thomas is able to get off a really nice big Tome of Fyendale turn.
And that's a high octane I see. That's a lot of action points at the ready here for Dash, and they have the resource points to use it. So if he's got a 0-cost boost card here alongside the high octane, that's going to give him an extra action point. That's going to enable the Tome of Fyendale. He's going to gain a bunch of life back, even it up, and really be able to send a big aggressive turn into Ben here.
Oh, and here comes the T-Bone. Really, this is lining up really nicely here. So he's going to be able to gain the full amount of life off the Tome of Fyendale.
Absolutely beautiful, beautiful hand lineup here for Thomas Dowling. Probably going to see a Tome of Fyendale next. Unfortunately, it means he does have to break the chain, so if he does find another T-Bone, it's not going to be able to yoink another piece of equipment, but still absolutely beautiful.
Yep, and I think he's now look at these life totals contract. Now we're 19 to 31. He's sitting at a very healthy 43 just a few moments ago.
Yep, absolutely, and another absolutely smashing turn for Thomas here. We know it's going to be a big one.
And now Ben really has to figure out how much do I want to commit to this play. It's a really nice turn.
It does have the frailty trap though. Oh, this is going to put in some dirty work versus that high octane. High octane really good with Symbiosis Shot, but not so strong when you've got a frailty token.
Yep, the frailty trap's just doing absolute work. Could save him quite a lot of life, potentially 2, even 3 life this turn. One thing I saw a Nimblism in his hand as well. How much does he want to commit to the swing back? Because he has a really, really powerful turn of Nimblism into Death Touch. Okay.
Unfortunately, Tome's going to gain a lot of life here for Thomas.
Yep. That may change the math a little bit.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, Ben, before this Tome, might be looking to get on the aggressive side, but after this Tome, I think Thomas is going to be gaining, what, 5 life?
I believe so.
That's absolutely crazy.
And just like that, we're just back to a 7 life difference.
Yep, 7 life difference with a big turn on the horizon here for Thomas. Man, what a tight game.
Yep, and yeah, so 1 line available on the offense for Ben would be something like Nimblism into Death Touch into the Black Tech Whisperers with the Codex to pick up Leave No Witnesses. But I think Thomas is going to have something to say about that.
Yep, absolutely. I think Ben's going to have to commit some cards to defense here. We see a Teklo Foundry Heart blown through here. Ooh, a High Octane and a Spark gone for Thomas. You hate to see it if you're a fan of Dash.io, and you love to see it if you're a fan of Uzuri.
Yep, for sure. So that's 2 High Octanes and 2 Spark of Geniuses gone from the deck now.
Yep, and I spy with My Little Eye a few interesting cards in Thomas's hand there. I see a Heist, I see a Dissolving Shield, I see a Boom Grenade. All very interesting cards. Unfortunately, you really don't want to see something like a Dissolving Shield on this turn as Thomas. Yes, it's a very nice card defensively, but you really want to try and push as many breakpoints as you possibly can to see if you can get over Ben's defenses here. If you can get this Boom Grenade to connect, it's going to do a lot of damage.
Yep, so I do see, I believe, a red throttle. So with the 4 resources, this really lines up a nice throttle red into the Heist, followed up by potentially like a pistol hit and a Dissolving Shield.
Yep. I mean, the counters on Symbiosis Shot aren't irrelevant. He still has 1 High Octane left in deck. Maybe he tries to reserve some of the counters on Symbiosis Shot just for, say, look, I understand that I've got a frailty. My counters aren't getting the maximum value here. Is there any consideration to wasting action points as Thomas?
Yep, I think because he has that Dissolving Shield, which he may want to play uncranked, that he may consider maybe just coming with 1 pistol shot, if that, and preserving some of the counters. Okay, so actually electing to open up with the... Ooh, okay, so he banishes the Tome, but he should be okay because of the High Octane.
Yep, so if he effectively goes neutral on action points here, I mean, look, High Octane is normally used for the pistol shots, right? You're normally using those action points to convert them into extra pew-pews. But in this case, I mean, just a bit of a debricker. Really unfortunate for Thomas having to boost away this Tome of Fyendale, though. That's one of the power cards in the matchup. And look, he knows what card was on top of his deck when he did this. He was under no impression that that wasn't a Tome of Fyendale getting boosted, right? He just knows that, look, I've got a Boom Grenade. I need to boost multiple times into Ben here. I need to push this damage through here. I can't wait. I can't just do nothing. I need to attack.
And one thing to note here is there are multiple 2 blocks in hand, so he's going to commit the Crown of Providence. Will he choose to ship away the Arsenal? I think not.
I think Ben thinks, like, look, my turn is really, really strong with this Tunic here, with this Death Touch. I might be forced, but it's a throttle. That's a 6 power card. That's not going to get covered by the 2 blocks in Ben's hand. He's going to have to eat 1 million here.
And that's another maximum velocity boosted. So we've seen a lot of good cards hit the bin now. We've seen 2 max velocities, a Spark of Genius, a High Octane, a Tome of Fyendale. I think Ben's got to be kind of happy with how that works out, and I think he's just going to eat the damage here.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like, look, I'm just going to eat this Boom Grenade. My hand doesn't block very well, but it's a very good aggressive hand. I mean, Nimblism into Death Touch, into Black Tick, into Codex. What a banger of a 3-card hand here for Ben.
Yep, and I really feel that this Dissolving Shield is the saving grace of the hand. Like, despite not being exactly the card you want to see, I think Thomas is going to be very happy just to slam that down with 3 counters on it.
Absolutely. Give you a little bit of an insurance policy, wouldn't you say, Kieran?
Yep, for sure. And he does have the Crown of Providence still available if he needs to sort of get out of jail free card against that Codex and to leave no witnesses play.
Yep. You hate to see a Codex into an open arsenal as Thomas, but look, at least you're happy. You're going to say, like, look, I've got you down to 21. It's a lot better than where we were a couple of turns ago on 43. I've done my job. I'm happy to eat a lot of damage here. He might even just block out and set up an arsenal on Thomas's side, right?
Yeah, I think Thomas might be thinking to himself, like, with the number of power cards that have gone from my deck now, I'm pretty happy that I managed to get some amount of damage through that turn.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 max velocities gone, 2 high octanes gone, 2 sparks gone. That's a lot of the juice.
Yep, and that's a lot of damage coming in through here, and that's another Boom Grenade in hand.
You don't like to see it here, but it is a nice setup card, right? You can keep a card in hand and a card to arsenal, assuming that this Death Touch doesn't give Thomas an inertia.
Yep, and we'll see how Thomas wants to navigate this. So, I mean, does have the option, of course, of blocking with, say, like equipment or multiple cards. You could maybe remove a couple of counters from Dissolving Shield, choose to cash in the Adaptive Plating. I mean, if we look at it there, the Tickler Foundry Heart, Crown of Providence is 4, Adaptive 7, +2 on.
He does have a
Dissolving
clean
Shield.
block available. If he disrespects the attack reaction range from Ben here, he could clean this up, not losing any cards from hand, not getting any tokens. Ben will have a Codex in arsenal, but Thomas doesn't care if he's boosting the house down.
Yep, I do wonder if he's going to consider defending this out here, because this is a big hit. If he takes 9 damage, drops to 13, gets followed up by a Codex into a Leave No Witnesses, with the Frailty token as well, so the attack that he gets back is getting reduced by that Frailty. Not a great spot to be in.
No, absolutely not. The interesting thing, though, if Ben goes for this line, I did spot a T-Bone in Thomas's hand. If he goes for the Black Tech line, he's only going to have 1 piece of equipment in play, and that's going to be his Fiendel's Spring Tunic, which will get eaten. Thomas fully disrespecting here, saying, look, I don't care, hit me for 9, give me a token. Let's see what the poison that Ben Dodd decides on.
Yep, so Thomas just saying, like, look, I mean, I only get to cash in these big equipment blocks 1 time per game, probably, you know, as I'm committing the full fridge.
Unfortunately, though, we know that that's a Codex of Frailty in Ben Dodd's hand, which is going to be absolutely punishing here for Thomas. Although, of note, he does get to fetch one of his best aggressive cards back from his graveyard. It's a little bit of a double-edged sword here in the case of Ben.
Yep, so the Codex, with 0 resources in play, we're probably looking to Leave No Witnesses. But, I mean, if Thomas was expecting this line, he's probably saying, look, I mean, I have an option here, Tickler Foundry Heart +2 Dissolving Shield counters, ticks down to 0 next turn, sets up the Adaptive Plating block for the following turn.
Absolutely. And Thomas able to block out this Leave No Witnesses for basically free with a piece of equipment and this Dissolving Shield if he really wants, leaving the Dissolving Shield on 1 counter, ticks down for his turn, Adaptive Plating still available to block on the next turn if he wants to.
Yep, and as you mentioned before, if that's a red T-Bone, very nice way to get rid of that Fiendel's Spring Tunic.
Yeah, I think you're pretty happy with being Thomas here, being able to clear away those Black Tech Whisperers, leaving that Tunic nice and naked, means that Ben Dodd can really struggle to set up that Death Touch play like we just saw happen.
Yep. So one thing about the Tunic, like, obviously it is a bit of a hit to lose this, but at the pace this game is going, if you're on Ben's side just saying, look, you know, I got the critical resource out of it that I needed. If I do lose it to a T-Bone, it's not the absolute end of the world. I am really curious to see what attack he gets back here. If he goes for something high impact like a Throttle or a Heist, or he wants to go a bit more low to the ground with something like a 0 to 60.
Yeah, I think power definitely matters here as Thomas. I think you just want those big numbers. Heist is huge. Threatening the 5 damage, plus that on hit is nothing to cough at. Like, for Ive, if it hits, he gets to fetch back. I saw a Broom Grenade in his Banish Zone. He's probably going to crank that. He's going to gain an additional action point and gain even more threat for the rest of his combat chain.
Yep, we'll really be looking at what card Ben is able to draw here on Uzuri off the Ponder. I mean, I think the absolute dream for him would be something like a nice, beautiful defense reaction.
Or even a Sigil, right?
Yeah, Sigil.
Interestingly enough, Ben Dodd giving Thomas the Bloodrot Pox token, not the token I expected. Maybe Ben's wanting to shift to more of an aggressive lens in this matchup.
Yeah, I will say I was maybe expecting something more like the Inertia or the Frailty. Okay, but now I feel I am kind of expecting a Tickler Foundry Heart plus the Dissolving Shield here.
Yep, we see 2 ticks down on the shield. Looks
Ooh.
like he's opting to throw in the adaptive plating instead. Interesting. I mean, I kind of respect it. You're like, hey, he's probably going to try and block the house down. I'm going to have a big turn next turn. I'm not going to always have an item in play to galvanize with his adaptive playing. I'm just going to cash it in now.
Yep, so I did think that he might consider saving that dissolving because you almost certainly have that defense available on the following turn.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, maybe he just puts Ben Dodd on being like, look, Ben is probably going to have to block the house down on this turn. I've got a boom grenade. I've got a T-bone. I've got lots of things going for me here. He's obviously giving me a blood rot pox. He wants to be super aggressive.
And very notable here, choosing not to arsenal the card off the ponder. So that's a huge win for Thomas here.
Absolutely massive.
So I'm curious as to what that card was that he decided not to.
Might have been a shred. Maybe he just didn't want the shred in Arsenal because it locks him out of arsenaling a defensive option later on.
Yep, that's a really good point. Dash-IO doesn't do a lot of blocking. And on top of that, I believe it was a blue shred, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And really just wanting to have access to those resources.
Yeah, it's also a card that defends for 3, which isn't nothing. You definitely want those in hand as Ben Dodd, facing down this Dash-IO deck.
Yep, and we see the heist come. So it looks like a boom grenade yellow pitched here to play that heist. Probably going to be able to pick up a couple of cards here. Followed up by the sort of the T-bones lining up really nicely into the tunic here.
Wait, have we seen the penetration script from Thomas?
It was pitched earlier in this game.
Okay, I was going to say that would be an absolute blowout here.
Yep. Now, unfortunately, in all the action, I did miss what card he picked up with the Codex of Frailty, unfortunately, but I'm sure we'll see that shortly.
Yep, he's also got a T-bone here. Yeah, we see the T-bone coming in hot. 4-3, going to eat the tunic, and possibly even another card from Ben's hand.
Yep, so just, I mean, the tunic's only going to mitigate 1. I think Thomas is kind of happy to get a couple of points of damage in here.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, I feel like he's navigated this game into a very close position. So it looks like Ben's turn most likely is just going to be pitch into CNC. And now...
No, it's a Ravenous Rebel in Ben's hand.
Okay, so it's looking like it's just going to be a Ravenous Rebel. Now, if Thomas maybe just wants to eat the 4 damage here, it's 8 light difference, but we know how much damage Dash can do.
Yep. Yeah, Thomas opting not to shoot the pistol here as well. Very heads-up play from him. He knows that Ben's probably wanting to block the house down. He's not afraid of a 2-card hand from Uzuri. He's basically using his life as a resource here in order to keep more cards around.
Yep, and he just keeps finding these items in hand. He's not going to be thrilled with that.
No, we see a Ravenous Rebel come in for 4, revealing a Infect Red off the top for Uzuri. Nice little cheeky 4 points of damage. Could also be threatening something like a Codex after this. We know that Ben has a CNC in hand, but Thomas certainly does not.
Yeah, particularly the way he chose to defend or not defend out that turn.
Yep, absolutely. But the range here is huge, right? Not attacking with Symbiosis Shot means that he didn't know whether Ben had a useless card stranded in hand, right?
Yep, and now the deck count's starting to get, like, not critical, but starting to get a little bit thinner on Thomas's side. We saw Ben, you know, heads up play, make sure, look over and check how many cards more do I have to potentially survive through.
Yep, we see another heist in hand for Thomas. Very, very good aggressive card. Always going to see 2 cards defended.
Okay, so dropping down to 9 life here. I do wonder if we might see that spreading play come into action as well.
Absolutely. Do you think he keeps it in this matchup?
I do wonder if he might just keep one of those in just for that surprise value.
Absolutely. Well, Thomas here, 13 life, playing Dash-IO for his life, for the undefeated streak, the dark horse of the tournament. What a run versus Ben Dodd, an absolute masterclass Uzuri player, putting on a showcase for us all over the weekend. What a game.
I am seeing multiple items again in Thomas's hand here, so I believe I saw a boom grenade and a backup protocol.
Yeah, it looks to be a red backup protocol, though. You don't hate to see that one.
No.
Yep, Thomas just electing to take 4 here. Totally understandable.
Okay, a little bit of a smile exchange between players. He says, show me what you got.
No Codex here. There's just going to be 4, Ben says, as he arsenals that Command and Conquer.
So in terms of equipment, so still the big block up on the Teklo Foundry card and the Crown of Providence available, and absolutely nothing available on the side of Ben Dodd.
Yep, completely naked, ready to be shot at.
Okay, looks like he has plenty of 3 blocks in hand available this turn. I see, I believe, an Infect and a Nourishing Emptiness at least.
Yep. Also, Thomas with a nice insurance policy against that CNC and Arsenal for Ben. Still having that Crown of Providence up here is absolutely huge. All right, we see a boost here. Pulse Wave Harpoon in the bin for Thomas. Coming in for 5, though, that is going to get 2 cards from Ben. I would not be surprised. Yep, there we go. Nourishing Emptiness and Infect coming down in front of this heist.
And not the greatest follow-up available for Thomas here, so...
He's probably just going to crank this protocol into an uncranked boom grenade, right?
Yep, there's certainly one option. Oh, and we do see another Codex of Frailty available. Okay.
Ooh, another backup protocol red. Now, this could set up a very, very spicy turn for Dash. Having access to 2 protocols, possibly, and a boom. Oh no, he pitched the boom grenade, but still, 2 protocols is absolutely huge, right? Like you can set up a massive, massive turn with that. But no, we just see him going for a Teklo Foundry Heart activation. Ooh, eating the last high octane. You hate to see it if you're Thomas. You really don't want to see that card getting in the bin.
Yeah, Ben's going to be very happy to see that card gone, particularly with some of these counters starting to stack up onto the Symbiosis shot.
Yep. Maybe, what does he want the 2 resources for? Do we know the card in Arsenal for Thomas?
Not sure, but one line available is he might just want to get rid of that backup protocol, play something like a 0 to 60 and come in with a couple of Symbiosis shot hits here.
I mean, he is at 9. He has to respect the amount of damage that Ben can pump out here.
Yep. The availability to just sit there and set up is not really present anymore. So there is one more Tome of Find Out left in deck. So I believe that's kind of one of the final few really explosive cards available.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, look, Thomas here has, it's a really, really tough spot, right? Ben's on a killable life total, right? 19 isn't an unreasonable number for Thomas to reach for, but you really need to utilize every card in your deck. Do you think the idea behind getting the boom grenade and that protocol in the pitch zone is just saving it for later?
I think it could be, because I believe there's at least one maximum velocity still left in deck. So that would be sort of a, that's another potential sort of win con.
Yep, absolutely. He's getting that blue protocol off the top of his deck, boosted away. 2 action points still remaining here for Thomas. No resources up, but he can just end up with 2 pistol shots here if he wants to.
Yep, and I think for Ben's side, he's very tempted here just to take all the damage, go, pitch into Command and Conquer, and then be able to set up that Codex of Frailty in Arsenal.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, the Symbiosis shot coming in for 2. Ben says, I'm going to eat that one too.
So slowly just chipping him down.
Yep, 1 more shot in, another 2.
And then I think with all the high octanes gone, he's very happy just to start throwing in these Symbiosis shot attacks.
Yep, absolutely. The counters don't matter so much when you know that all your massive action point generators are gone. You can still crank items. You can still crank items to get the 2 shots in, but those big, like 4, 5, 6 pistol shot turns that Dash.io is famous for off the high octanes are no longer available for Thomas.
And a very different approach in the 2 games from these Uzuri players here. Probably, to be fair, somewhat instructed by the start to the game each of them have had.
Yep, absolutely true. Command and Conquer coming in. We're probably going to see Crown of Prominence get in front of this if Thomas wants to have a big turn on the swing back.
Yep, so this is one of these critical moments in the in-game where he's thinking, look, am I willing to go down to 5 life, push the Crown of Providence in front of this, and play a big 5-card hand? Do I have enough to threaten?
Absolutely. Man, what a thriller of a matchup, though. Thomas Dowling, 9 life. Not the best start, but he's managed to pull and cobble together quite the offense versus Ben Dodd on 11, threatening a CNC. And we do see the Crown of Providence come in for Thomas, shipping away the Arsenal. He's going to say, look, I'm just going to eat 4 points. I'm going to drop to 5. Still got Teklo Foundry Heart as backup.
And I believe he would have looked at the top card before that, so he's pretty happy with the card he's drawing.
Yep, Crown of Providence, very strong in Dash.io for that very reason. Knowing the exact card you're going to draw when you defend with it is absolutely huge, right?
Yep, now this is a big turn. As you mentioned, 11 is the kill zone. You can get it here. But the Codex of Frailty, if Ben's able to just defend out with 4 cards and follow up with Codex and leave no witnesses, that's a very powerful play.
I did see a tome in Thomas's hand, though. I saw a tome. It's just absolutely massive here. Kelly's accelerated up. He doesn't even have to find an item to crank off the top.
And he has all the resources in the world here.
Yep, we see a Zipper hit coming in for 3 boost. 2 resources floating. Not the most damage, but we know that Tom has the Tome of Fiendal, which has been the story of these Uzuri games, I feel like. When Dash.io gets these tome turns off, he can produce so much damage. Ben's only on 11. That's a very, very doable number.
Yep, now I did think I spotted a sink below in Ben's hand. A card he's going to be very happy to have here, particularly when he sees the tome come down.
Absolutely. I mean, there's only so much damage you can prevent, though, right? If Thomas is able to string together the last maximum velocity in his deck on this turn, we could be looking at the finals of the Calling Melbourne right here on this turn.
Yep, now, okay, so we've got the Teklo Core and Pitch 2 resource available, plenty of resources. I think it's just going to really come down to what he draws off this. He is really, really hoping to see a couple of red boost cards.
Yeah, I'm absolutely shaking, Kieran.
Yeah,
I got shivers down my spine. This could be it. All the chips are down. Thomas has got a lot of resources available to him. He's got another blue card in hand. He's got another boost card, and he has that key Tome of Fiendal.
And plenty of deck manipulation available here between the Tome of Fiendal and the Teklo Foundry Heart. He's going to be able to dig multiple times to try find an item here. I mean, even finding something like a backup protocol would be incredible with the resources available.
Yep, absolutely. Backup protocol able to find the best card from Thomas's bin.
Okay, now Ben, I think, really realizing the gravity of this turn. Like, this is the turn that could make or break his calling run.
Yep, absolutely. This is the turn that could make him a calling champion. Well, this could be the turn that sends him home packing, coming second place. Okay, second fiddle to a dark horse.
So choosing to take 3 damage, I feel Thomas is going to be pretty happy with how this has begun.
Yep, absolutely.
And also on Ben's side, you wouldn't necessarily be, I mean, you never really expect to summon Farndale, but when you've seen 2 gone already, you're probably thinking like maybe he hasn't quite at the 3rd one just yet.
Yeah. Also, something you got to think about as Ben, he's on a low life total here. He could have a boom grenade on top, and if Thomas does manage to find one, that any attack could be lethal.
Yep, that Sink Below is going to put in potentially quite a lot of work here.
Yep, we see a Tickler Foundry Heart activation here for Thomas. Going to tick up the resources. Going to bin 2 non-item cards. Very good, very good. Climbing towards a crank item. Didn't quite catch there what was on top of Thomas's deck. But if it's a good one, we'll probably see the tome run out here. If it's not a good one, he'll probably run out the boost card.
Absolutely, man. Very, very tense moments going on in this game.
I mean, every decision matters here. Every point of damage, every resource.
I think Thomas realizes as well, like, this might be the final big turn I actually get to have. I'm on 5 life, I'm playing against Uzuri. They have a lot of disruption, a lot of damage, and very scary, Ben still has 4 cards in hand and a card in arsenal.
Yep, he's on 5 life. He does have a tick low that he's able to block with, but yeah, he really needs to get the gas pumping this turn.
On top of everything, you know, both daggers available.
Yep, we see the Pulse Wave come in. He doesn't like the card on the top of his deck. He doesn't want to play the tome yet. Yep, we see a Magnetic Shockwave, not a great card for him here. Checks the top card of his deck.
Makes a lot of sense. Wants to get rid of those blues. I believe he Tickler Foundry had away a blue 0 to 60 as well. He's thinking, I don't need resources at this point.
Yep.
Oh, and is he going to commit the Sink Below?
Yep. Sink's coming in hot.
I mean, he has seen a lot of boom grenades gone already.
Interesting. Is he going to try and ship away one of his... Oh, the Codex. Yeah, that makes sense. He just wants to go for another 3 block card, right?
Yep, and he already has that Codex in arsenal as well. And picking up the Lightning Strike, very heads-up play there.
Yep, very nice. Now we see the Tome of Fyendal coming down.
This is it. Like, what is he going to draw off this? Oh, a little nod of the head there. Seems
like he's not too disappointed. The Achilles Accelerator going to come down to gain an action point, I believe. Yep. We see a Twin Drive.
And a backup protocol. Was that a blue?
It does look like a blue backup protocol, but it's a backup protocol nonetheless. It still puts a counter on your Symbiosis shot. You do have the access to pop it. If he has a blue 0 to 60 in his bin, that's not a terrible card to see here.
No, not the worst. So Ben now down to 3 cards in hand.
Yep, you really want to see an item off the top here for Thomas. If he finds a red protocol, that could make or break this game.
For sure, because Ben has a really nice line available to him to here with sort of pitching a blue, coming with Spider's Bite, and Lightning Strike go again into Codex, into something like a Death Touch even as well.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of output for Uzuri. Ben, riding or dying on this turn. Thomas, just thinking to himself after this tome, how can I produce the most damage possible? How can I threaten the most cards from this Uzuri's hand? Yeah, we see the Achilles Accelerator come down.
So he still hasn't used the Dash Hero ability. I think it might just come down to can he find the item off this Twin Drive?
All right, he's playing a backup protocol blue from hand.
Okay, so this can actually net him an additional resource if he needs this here as well, if he wants to get back a blue.
Oh man, I'm so tense.
Yeah, because the problem is it's very difficult for him here to... I wonder if he's just going to grab the blue for additional resources and just live or die by that Twin Drive. Desperately trying to find that item off the top here.
Yep, an item off the top here for Dash.io could make all the difference in this game here in the grand final of the Calling Melbourne.
Because I think he knows as well, he's like, look, if I can get this Twin Drive off with 2 resources available, it's really hard to just completely disrespect the boom grenades. We have seen a lot of them.
Yep, absolutely. Tickler Call being pitched here. Protocol being cracked. What's he going to fetch? But also, can we just take a moment to appreciate what an amazing, amazing set of games that we've had this weekend. What a final here. 2 absolute champions on their respective decks coming down to the wire.
Absolutely, and you know, Thomas mentioned to us, like, sometimes you just got to embrace the variance on this deck, and I think this Twin Drive could make or break his tournament.
So much tension in the air. T-Bone coming through for 1. It's a throttle boosted. Looking at the top card of his deck. Ben probably just going through now, just going on a search. How many boom grenades have I seen? Do I need to respect this T-Bone or not? Because if this T-Bone connects with a boom grenade, it's going to drop into a very, very low 3 to 5 life. And 3 to 5 life dies to a Twin Drive.
Yep, so choosing actually just to run out the T-Bone here, I mean, I feel like Ben's in a pretty good position from this spot. And if he just goes no blocks and Thomas is forced effectively to commit this Twin Drive without an item, I mean, 1 + 5 + 2, I guess it is just enough to get one card out of hand.
Yep.
And that's actually really, really important here too. I mean, the problem is it does open up that Enlightened Strike into Codex into Leave No Witnesses play, but at least you're not facing down the Spider's Bite into this, into that.
Yep, exactly. I mean, Thomas, if he does find the Boom Grenade here, just being able to go Boom Grenade with the T-Bone, 2 shots off the pistol, because he would be able to crank the Boom Grenade. That is threatening a card from Ben's hand and getting to Arsenal the Twin Drive.
So absolutely massive here, and it's really cool actually seeing Dash.io make this game extremely, extremely close, despite not having some of those really massive turns that we've seen previously, like the max velocities with the Tome of Findales, that
Yeah,
sort of thing.
like he had a very, very awkward start this game and is still making it an absolute thriller versus Uzuri deck.
Yeah, and what he has described as a somewhat difficult matchup as well. Huge decision here on if he chooses to defend this.
Yep, looks like Ben's really respecting the availability of Boom Grenades.
And I think Thomas would be thrilled to get a card out of this.
Yep. Thomas really, really sweating. He needs to get a card here.
Yep, so Ben probably thinking, look, if I give you a card here, okay, just taking one. And I think that's the correct call here.
Yep. Tight. All right, we see a Twin Drive coming in, 5 boost. It was just a zipper hit on the top. Thomas, even after all the deck manipulation, multiple boost cards, Teklo Foundry Heart activations, all these things, and still unable to find an item to crank off the top. And he played a Tome too, right?
Yeah, he just really, really needed to find one more big boost card there. Instead of the blue backup protocol, there needed to be a backup protocol red, something like a zipper hit, just something to force a few more cards out of hand.
Can you imagine if that was a maximum velocity he found instead of that blue protocol? We'd be looking at a very different game right now.
Absolutely.
But yep, just a lonely Twin Drive for 5 into a shot for 2. He is still going to be able to get 1 card here from Ben. Ben's going to have to put a 3 block in front of this Twin Drive, take 2. Probably eat 2 from another pistol shot. That'll put him down to 3.
Yep, so he is able to strip at least 1 card here. And that's the importance of actually playing out that T-Bone rather than getting a little bit greedy and maybe just fishing for additional resources.
Absolutely.
And so the sequencing was very nice there because we saw Ben really consider giving up a card to that T-Bone just to respect something like the Boom Grenade.
Yep, Boom Grenade, critical card in a lot of matchups, and definitely critical in this matchup where Uzuri's looking to take the long road. Really contemplating the best line here. I mean, there's a lot on the line here for Ben.
Yep, because he knows he has to give up at least 1 card this turn.
Yep. On the flip side, at least he knows that there's no Boom Grenade threat here. Dash does not have any resources up. It cannot flip anything off the top.
Yep, I think what he's trying to figure out here is like, look, if I give 1 card here and I take the pistol hit and go down to 3 life, am I going to be able to threaten lethal on the following turn?
Yeah, exactly. If he's not able to threaten enough cards from Thomas's hands, he could be staring down a very, very similar position next turn.
Yep, because obviously that we, so Thomas has been very disciplined with that Teklo Foundry Heart. So we'll see if that comebacks to bite him because he doesn't want to die with that stuck on 1 counter. But I think, yeah, what Ben's probably considering here is like, okay, I have no equipments left. If I Codex, I am giving my opponent back something like potentially a Heist, which I may have to commit multiple cards to defend against. What I don't want to end up in a position is where I leave my opponent with, say, 2, maybe 3 cards in hand. Probably not 3 cards, but like 2 cards in hand plus a card in arsenal, representing quite a lot of damage potentially.
Yep, absolutely. And if Thomas is heads up enough to block that Teklo Foundry Heart before the Codex comes down, he's going to easily be able to block a breakpoint with it, and that could make or break. He's on 5 life. Every point matters. Yep, we see the Symbiosis shot just coming in for an additional 2 points of poke here. Just looking to get Ben Dodd down to a very low 3 life. Yep, and Ben says, look, I'm going to take it. I'm going to have a big turn into you. And we've got a hell of a game of flesh and blood on our hands.
Now, I'm really interested to see what line he takes here, because there's a few unconventional lines, like if he wants to do something like, for example, pitch to a dagger into Codex, discarding Line of Strike to get... Okay, no, he's not going to do that. Now, this is critical. Is he going to defend with the Teklo Foundry Heart? Because this is huge. If he defends with it and identifies... I feel like the fact that this is go again, he's probably thinking it is something like a Codex. Because if he can defend this out, go down to... Take 3, go down to 2 life, that then sets up the 1 card block onto something like a Leave No Witnesses.
Yep, and we see a Spark of Genius, a Maximum Velocity, and a Twin Drive in hand for Thomas.
And that's a very nice hand if he's able to hold on to a few cards there. Probably wishing he had one of those cards in that last turn would have made all the difference.
It really would. Either a Spark, another Twin Drive, or a Maximum Velocity instead of the blue protocol he did end up finding would have completely changed this game. It would have completely turned off Ben's turn here, and he would be able to have 4 cards here.
Yep, now I think this is going to be the make or break decision if he can identify that this is where I need to block with Teklo Foundry Heart. Now, I suspect if he wants to block with one card, now he's probably going to go, look, how many codexes have you played?
Yep, what cards can you get off Codex? I mean, this play screams Codex to me, right?
It does, and you're probably thinking, like, look, if I block with Teklo Foundry Heart, what's the worst that can happen? Like, if it's not a Codex, I mean, it's like an Infect Red. Like, my Teklo Foundry Heart's not going to help me out with that anyway.
Yep, exactly. I mean, yeah, you got to really be asking yourself the questions here as Thomas. What is Ben Dodd's range here? That's the thing that Uzuri is notorious for, right? It's just like having these crazy wild ranges. On top of that, Ben opted to not defend with the cards in his hand. He obviously had an A-Strike that was available to defend with, so it has to be a power card in Ben's arsenal, right?
It's just a really, unfortunately, awkward hand a little bit here because he has the red Dissolving Shield, red Maximum Velocity. Okay, so makes the big play here. But one thing is here, for example, if the Codex gets something back, that it might actually unlock his hand. Because if he's able to get back a 0 to 60 here, that completely unlocks the Spark of Genius, which is currently a little bit trapped based on his hand composition.
Yep, he can very, very easily go discard the Dissolving Shield to the Codex, fetch a 0 to 60, keep the Spark.
One card block, maybe the Max Velocity.
Yep, the Max Velocity or the Twin Drive. Yep, we see him opting to take 3 here, down to 2. Really heads-up play from Thomas, really showcasing why he's a world-class player on Dash.io, making the correct read that it was, in fact, the Codex in Arsenal for Ben. Ben going to fetch up a 0-coster here. He's going to give a Frailty token to Thomas, but Thomas breathing what is probably a huge sigh of relief that he made that block.
Yep, so I think, we're going to see Leave No Witnesses here. I think we are going to see the Dissolving Shield discarded. And does he have a red? I believe he does have red 0 to 60 available. And yes, it is only 3 damage with the Frailty, but that's still lethal.
Yep, it still threatens lethal damage. Aye, man, this Dash really making us sweat, eh?
Yeah, this game is going down to the absolute wire. So it feels like the natural discard would be the Dissolving Shield, but I mean, there is a consideration maybe to hold that because you're on 2 life.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, I feel once again, we said it last time, that card that it hits off the ponder could be the difference between taking home the Calling Trophy or taking home the runner-up.
Yep, absolutely. So many small points of nuance here in this matchup. It's been an absolute thriller, Kieran. I couldn't ask for a better finals game, to be honest. It's been so close. Both players making a lot of really, really tight decisions, both playing absolutely fantastically here in the Calling finals.
Yep, and for what it's worth, I feel Ben definitely took the correct line here, but it's just going to unintentionally unlock Thomas's hand, but because purely off the back of that Spark of Genius.
Yep, absolutely. Spark of Genius, fantastic card. I mean, it replaces itself, it gets a crank item, it does all the business.
Okay, so I think he is eyeing up that red 0 to 60 here.
Makes a lot of sense.
Man, this is going down to the absolute wire. What an amazing Calling final we have. Very fitting for just the incredible slate of games we've had this entire weekend.
Yeah, it really has been incredible, hasn't it, Kieran? So many fantastic matchups showcased on stream. Lots of amazing games out of Dash.io. Even Max Nitro, the Bright Lights hero, is really showcasing that they've got what it takes to contend with the top heroes of the meta.
Yep, now one thing we have to, so dissolves the discards the Dissolving Shield here. I believe we're probably going to see the Maximum Velocity pushed into block.
Yep.
Now, one thing we have to note is the Frailty token, as we mentioned at the start of the game, is doing a lot of work here, particularly with the Spark of Genius potentially getting a cranked item, enabling multiple gun attacks. So it's only going to be coming in for 1.
Yep. God, this Thomas on this Dash.io desk is an absolute mastermind, though. If he blocked not with the adaptive plating, if he blocked with the Teklo Foundry Heart on the previous turn, he would not be able to make this play here.
Good point, you know, like look at me second guessing it. It's easy to easy to do so from the sidelines.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I believe I saw a shakedown in Arsenal.
Yep, that is in fact a shakedown for Ben.
It's a good card, but I think there could have been a lot better ones. Oh, and we do see the Sink Below here.
Sink Below might clutch this up. 3-on-3 action. The Frailty token taking the 0 to 60 down to 3 points instead of the usual 4, as it was played from Arsenal. Oh man, what a tight game here.
And that Sink Below might actually be an incredible saving grace for this hand because, okay, so he's going to Spark, get a massive draw step here, depending on what he draws.
Yep, notably he does have to search for. Thomas does not know what card's going to be on top of his deck after he shuffles. Looks like he's eyeing up a red backup protocol.
So the Sink Below is absolutely massive here because it means that if he's able to Sink Below that Twin Drive, he only takes 1 and goes down to 2, and the 2 pistol hits will only take 1 more card out of the hand.
Yeah, that is huge here. It means he gets to come back for the 2 for 6, stripping 2 cards back from Thomas. As we know, Dash.io not operating the best off of limited cards.
Yep, because if that was a 3 block, for example, that would have taken 1 card drop to 1, and then the pistols to strip 2 cards from hand, so that's absolutely huge here.
Yep, and something to note as well, Thomas not able to fetch up something like a Teklo core here if he wants to continue on the turn. He has to fetch up a crank item to replace the action point that Spark of Genius takes away from him.
I wonder if he still has access to... Oh, a boom grenade would be pretty nice. Particularly if you want to strip multiple cards out from hand, that really actually... A boom grenade would be massive here, actually, because that strips away all the benefit you get from that sink below.
Yep, exactly. You're not able to take break points when there's a boom grenade on play and you're on 3 life. But no, it does look like Thomas does opt for the backup protocol, saying like, look, I need some extra power cards. Now, this is absolutely huge. What card gets drawn off the Spark of Genius? Oh, man. I'm ready for a drum roll. Are you, Kieran?
Yeah, here we go. What's he going to find? I feel like he probably... I mean, he does have access to the Twin Drive, but, I mean, if he finds, say, a blue here, that really opens up an incredible line, because I think he can then go pitch a blue.
What does he find? What does he find?
Oh, is this a bad? Is it a blue?
Come on, Thomas. You're leaving us on the edge of our seats here.
Because if he has a blue here, right, he's able to pitch a blue, crack the backup protocol, get back 0 to 60, play 0 to 60, Foundry Heart, Twin Drive, and 2 pistol hits.
No, it's only going to be 1 pistol hit unless he finds a crank item off the top, because the backup protocol only replaced the action point that the Spark of Genius took away.
Yep, excellent point, actually.
That's still very, very clutch here.
So we know he runs the hit Rainbow.
Could literally be any color.
And I feel like he did tickle Foundry Heart away 1.
Still unable to make out the color. Man, that color means everything here. Man, oh.
This is huge.
This is so huge. Come on, Thomas. Show us what you got.
So it looks like he is going to be able to get, I mean, potentially only 1 more card out of the hand.
Yep, only 1 more card. I mean, he can also save this backup protocol for his next turn. He can convert any yellow or blue into a 0 to 60.
I think that might be a yellow zipper hit.
Yellow is really not the color you want to see here.
Oh,
yep.
and it was a yellow.
Yep, it is a yellow. It's a Twin Drive being boosted. He has to boost away a Heist as well, and that's another power card gone from Dash.io's deck. You can see Thomas ahead in his hands, not very happy with that draw off the Spark of Genius. That could make or break this game here.
Yeah, just absolutely huge if that's a, you know, if that was a red, it's, what, additional 4 points of damage potentially?
Yep, and we know that Ben has the sink below to clean this up and only 1 additional pistol shot. So Ben does have the option of going to 1 here and keeping what appears to be, is that a shred?
If that's a shred, that could be game if that's a shred.
Yeah, if that's a shred and Ben's able to go, look, I'm going to go to 1 here. I'm going to pitch and play the shakedown. Thomas is on 2. An exact block would mean lethal if it is in fact a shred.
Yep, so Thomas definitely is going to be a little disappointed he could not find the blue there. I mean, to be fair, he did run through a big string of blues before and did shuffle the deck a little bit, but I mean, he's Teklo Foundry had it away quite a few as well.
Man, what a clutch game. I'm on the edge of my seat.
An absolute thriller here.
We'll see if Ben wants to respect Thomas's deck a little bit more.
Also, a Fate for Scene and a Sink Below, actually, so he might be a little bit short on resources here, depending on that shred color.
Yeah, that's actually crazy. This could be huge for Thomas.
Yeah, because, I mean, he is able to just commit 1 card here, so he can commit the Fate for Scene, drop down to 2.
But
means
then he has to pitch the shred.
Yep, and if that's a red shred, he has to pitch away both cards. That's massive. That really gives...
That would be huge.
That gives Thomas a lifeline back into this game.
Absolutely. Sink Below coming down. We see Ben shipping away a card. Possibly the other defense reaction, to be honest. What does he find? This could mean everything for Ben. If he's able to find a resource card to pitch to the shakedown and be able to follow it up with a shred, then that's going to be looking a whole lot like lethal to me, Kieran. The Symbiosis shot coming in. It's only for 1. The Frailty is in fact in play.
Okay, so we'll see what he is... Wait, is that an Isolate? Oh no, that may be an Infect.
That's an Infect. That's a red card. That's not what you want to see as Ben here.
Oh, but actually, no, if he's able to go Infect... Oh no, he can't use the Shakedown, so if those are 2 reds in hand...
Oh, no!
It was in fact a blue.
It was in fact a Surgical Instruction, not a shred. Kind of similar artworks when you're looking from the commentary booth, apparently. But that's, we're going to see a Spire Spike coming for 1 here.
And that's huge, because this Shakedown could now strip 3 cards from hand.
Yep. It probably will.
And is that a Convection Amplifier in hand? That might be an item.
That's a Convection Amplifier.
And a Penetration. I think that's 3 items.
And a Teklo core.
I think that's 3 items in hand.
Yeah, Ben's got lethal here if he wants it.
Couldn't quite fully make out that card, but I believe it's a Definitely a Teklo core.
Yep, he says, look, I'm going to take 1 here. I'm going to drop to 1. Even a Miracle Dissolving Shield off the top is not going to be enough to clear up the shakedown. He does have the option of pitching to this backup protocol to get a card that defends, but I don't think it's enough. With the Spider's Bite in play, the attacks have -1. Fetching a red attack means that you'd only be able to block with 2 cards, which means he'd be taking 2. Thomas needs a Dissolving Shield off the top of his deck if he wants to live through this turn.
Okay, let's see what.
And that's it. We have the handshake. We have the calling final over and done with. Thomas's legendary one at 14-0 has been taken down by Ben Dodd on Uzuri. What a masterclass done by Uzuri, taking down what the man who couldn't before him. Uzuri takes it out. What a game, what a game, what a game.
Amazingly played by Ben Dodd there, and you got a feel for Thomas. Just came at 1 point, basically 1 resource short of it, maybe able to strip the entire hand and push all the damage through, and just come 1 game short of completing the miracle dream run of the 15-0.
Yep.
So obviously, you got a feel for him, but I mean, I feel like he's inspired a legion of fans across the world into giving Dash.io a whole other shot, because what an incredible performance he put on this weekend.
Absolutely. I mean, 15-0 has a nice ring to it, but 14-1, that is a unbelievably strong record for Dash.io. What a finals game, what a run from Dash.io. And Uzuri really showing she's got what it takes to take down tournaments. We saw 2 in this top 8, 1 go through to the semi-final, and 1 take down the entire event. So she's definitely showing she's got the goods.
Yep, Uzuri fans across the world, Assassin fans across the world will be celebrating that Uzuri win. The first calling victory, and we have our 6th unique hero in a row to win a calling. Just what a game we play. It's been an absolute privilege to be able to cast and watch these games this weekend. I could not have asked for a better top 8 than that.
Absolutely. Like, we saw some absolutely magical games here across top 8 and through Swiss as well. It's been non-stop bangers, game after game after game after game. It's been so much excitement this weekend. I've been so privileged to be here casting this amazing event here at the Calling Melbourne. What a day.
Absolutely. So what we might do is just take a short break, let the calling champion have a little moment to settle down. I'm sure the nerves must have been absolutely shaken throughout that riveting, incredibly close game. But we will be back very shortly, and we'll see if we can pull them over for a quick interview, just ask them about their tournament experience. Congratulations to Ben Dodd, your Melbourne calling champion.
All right, ladies and gentlemen at home, we are back in the commentary booth with the grand champion of the Calling Melbourne, Ben Dodd. How does it feel, Ben?
Incredible. I'm so proud that I got to take Uzuri to a major win. I've been working on the deck and practicing the deck every day since the hero came out, and to put up a result like this, it means everything.
Absolutely. I mean, you will be the first on the Roll of Honor for Uzuri to have taken down a premier level event with Uzuri. You'll be forever cemented in the game's history as the first person to ever take down a major event with Uzuri. That must be a hell of a feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while to sink in, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you see this gorgeous-looking trophy here. That's all yours. You have your gold foil, Crown of Providence. Feel free to rock that in your Uzuri deck. But how did you feel about the game? We saw it was super tight, a lot of back and forth. There was so many critical decisions to be made in that game. Obviously, you took the role of having to play a bit more of the back and forth. Such a clutch line with the nimblism into that Death Touch, cracking the Blacktail Whisperers, lining it up really nicely into the Codex, pushing Dash.io to the brink.
Yeah, that was an incredible game. So close. I played in the Swiss, that same matchup, and lost. I was 25 health ahead at one point. So that whole game, even when my life total was looking ahead, I felt behind because I know what that deck can do, and it was an incredibly well built deck, and he played it incredibly. Yeah, I mean, not much else to say. That was one of the best games of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely it was a great joy to cast it. Lots of super exciting moments. You both played extremely well. I mean, like, look, if 1 or 2 things went either way, it could have been either of you in that game. There was so much going on. There's so many things happening. You definitely have to respect Dash.io moving forwards, wouldn't you say? 100%. Yep, absolutely. Yep. And Uzuri definitely showing that she's got the business to take down a competitive event finally. Her time to shine. The last ride for Lexi is the first ride for Uzuri.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Well, thank you for joining me in the commentary booth. Anyone you'd like to shout out to help you test or anything along those lines? Anyone you want to thank? Look into the camera, look into their soul, tell you how much you love them.
Well, all the boys from Christchurch, locals at the store, love you. All of the Uzuri players I practice with online, Sam Dando, Colin, all of these players. But most of all, my partner, Sophie. She's here today, and she's always been supportive of me. Every event I go to, she says, "Oh, I know you'll win." And, well, today it came true.
Yep, absolutely beautiful. What a story about playing in the flesh and blood, and you truly are embodiment of that. So congratulations. Hold your trophy high. Go home proud. You did such an amazing job, mate. And I know that all of us Kiwis are so proud of you taking down the Calling Melbourne. But don't go away just yet. We'll be back with the Dash.io finalists to talk through their thoughts about the game. And stay tuned. Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did really well.
Hello, everyone, and I'm here with Thomas Dowling, the sort of the man of the hour, I have to say. I mean, coming up just that tiny little bit short, getting the 14 wins and an incredibly close, thrilling final at Uzuri. Maybe just a few little things not quite going your way in the final there.
Yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, I'm playing a deck that has a bit of variance to it, and you get, rewarded for leaning into the variance, and it didn't go to my way in the last few turns.
Yep,
So.
and like we were saying on stream before, I feel you've inspired a whole legion of fans across the world to really sit up and take notice of this hero and say, you know what, Dash.io is for real.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you're the only person in Flesh and Blood history to clean sweep the Swiss at a sort of Calling plus the level event of Calling Pro Tour higher. So you've always got that distinction to carry on forever. And I've just got to ask, so are you looking to attend Worlds over in Barcelona?
I've got some thinking to do.
Yep.
Because, I haven't had the greatest run in previous seasons. Like, I've had a lot of near misses. The first ProQuest of the season, I managed to qualify for LA.
Yep.
So I already had travel plans, and I've had to completely rework that.
So you just have to have a little think about it.
Yeah, let's.
So one thing that Hayden Dale told me, so one of the co-hosts of Arsenal Pass, big podcast, is he said he knows you, and you were sort of trying to talk to them before the event, saying, look, guys, look, Dash.io, I think I've done it. I've cracked the deck. It's really, really good. You guys have to play it. And Hayden was like, I couldn't quite get it to work, And he's telling me between rounds, he's like, I wish I listened to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. Like, we have a good local scene, and I get to speak regularly with the likes of Hayden Dale and Nick Butcher. I don't really test with them. I do my own thing. But I like to share lists, get feedback. And, you just got to be a believer sometimes,
Absolutely. And I just wanted to ask in general, how was your experience this weekend, just sort of coming together and getting to play in Melbourne and interacting with all the sort of community, the judges, the cosplayers and everything? Was it a pretty good time?
Awesome. Callings are the greatest. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, but fair enough. And I just got to say, someone who once came second at Calling myself, I know it's mixed emotions, right? Like, yeah, it's you've climbed right to the top of the peak and maybe just came that agonizing a little bit short, but it's really something to be proud of. And again, I've got to go back to it, going 14-0 all the way up into the final. You just put in an incredible effort today. And I've heard you've got a little treat for us on stream. I mean, if you top out a Calling, you get a gold foil.
I mean, you get a gold foil. So I kind of want to, keep the people happy, show what it is.
Let's do it. Opening live on stream. Drum roll. Hoping for a good one for you.
These are
a little bit difficult to open?
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting there. Okay, so we're going to crack this open. But yeah, I just want to say to all the people viewing, thank you for sticking with us throughout the event. And here we go.
All right, so it's going to be facing the stream. Soulbound Resolve.
Oh, Soulbound Resolve, so a bit of a Bolton card.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Bolton player, so this works for me.
Oh, well, there we go. And, there we go. We've got a sleeve to hand over for you.
Thank you.
And, Bolton certainly here, a lot of people have been experimenting with, so maybe they'll give you a little bit of inspiration to give him a go at some point.
Let's just get Icelander rotated so that I can play the hero.
Yep, fair enough. Anyway, I won't hold you up too much, but I just want to say thank you for being a fantastic ambassador for the game. Thank you for blazing a new path, playing, taking a bit of a risk, taking a leap of faith, playing a deck you brewed up yourself to incredible success. And if you do go to Worlds, or even if you don't, I wish you all the best in the future. You're a legend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.